Just because you live in a royal palace, it doesn't mean you can keep the lights on in an empty room, okay? You have to shut them off to save money. And banquet food, leftovers. Box it up. The Queen of England cutting back just like her subjects who have now been slammed by the global economic crisis. Joining us now from the NBC News Bureau in London, royal watcher Dickie Arbiter. Look, you were a former royal press officer, so you have a special inside glimpse at the Queen. Is this new, or has she always been somewhat frugal?
Hi, Contessa. No, she's always done it. She's always been frugal. She was brought up in an era during the Second World War when sometimes you didn't have lights, and if you did have lights, you had to switch them off. If you had food, you had to make the most of it. If there were leftovers, you had to make the most of that too. So it's nothing new from her point of view, and she's just trying to get that message across to the younger members of the royal family. Contessa.
Well, okay, so if we're talking about William and Harry, we see Dickie sometimes, these guys out at the posh night spots with posh transportation. So, I mean, how effective is it really for Grandma to tell them, let's knock it off and cut back somewhat?
It is pretty effective, actually. You know, the whole business of William and Harry going out to posh nightclubs, it's something a bit of the past now, because they're both very serious young men. Harry has done his tour of duty in Afghanistan at the beginning of this year. He's now going to train as a helicopter pilot, joining the Army Air Corps. William is going to join the Air Force next year as an air-sea rescue helicopter pilot. He's going to train for 18 months and then join that branch for 3 years. So they've kind of moved away from the glitzy nightclubs and the boozy nightclubs and are leading a far more frugal and serious life, and concentrating in their off time on charity and doing good things like that.
We're also hearing that the Queen now has decided that she, and I suspect, given that she does have a frugal nature, that this has somewhat been the case, but now maybe more attention is being paid to it, that she's going to reuse a lot of her old clothes, and she just had an outfit made out of cloth that she'd had sitting around for, what, a couple decades or something like that. The people who live in Great Britain, do they appreciate that she's making these overtures because they're slammed by the global economy, or when they hear about, you know, the Queen re-wearing an outfit, kind of roll their eyes and go, yeah, okay, whatever?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting point, that. Certainly the making of an outfit for her recent tour to Slovenia and Slovakia out of material that had been given to her some years ago. She does recycle all her clothes. She doesn't, you know, wear them once and throw them away. You will see them coming around time and time again, sometimes remodeled, sometimes slightly reshaped, sometimes with a little bit of trimming. And she is one of these people that will use her clothes time and time again. Princess Anne wore a dress a few months ago that she'd last worn 20 years ago. So both the ladies in the family are pretty frugal. The Queen is not a spendthrift. She never has been. She is from that generation to save and to use again. Contessa.
I want to drop the banner for a minute so that I can show people your tie. I mean, being in Great Britain, do you also recycle your clothes? I mean, is this a tie that we're going to see over and over again?
No, Contessa, you're not going to see it over and over again. I have got contact with a lady who works at Covent Garden Market. She makes her own ties, she hand paints them, and I use them once for a network. So you're only going to see it just this once.
Because that's
and
a memorable tie.
Next time you will see a completely different tie. It is a memorable tie. Would you like it?
You know what? I would. And in exchange, perhaps I could give you my leopard print shirt. It would look nice under your suit. We'll do a little swap.
Okay.
You know who was really interested in this? David Schuster, who's in Washington. David, how well would that tie go over in Washington, D.C.?
That'd be great.
So maybe, Dickie, you should send it.
If I could just get the accent as well, then I think I'd be fine. But without the accent, I don't think it works.
Schuster may make better use of that tie, Dickie, than I would. So maybe the swap has to... Hey, it's a clothes exchange. That's very good for the environment. Tamron, what do you have for me? Dickie Arbiter, thank you, sir. Okay, so I've already asked Tamron what she has in her closet, and she's given me a resounding no. We're not going there.